Hi, welcome back to another episode of inREAlity. Our guest for today is the Recruitment Manager of MultiplyMii, an offshore staffing solution that hires people here in the Philippines. I'm so excited because for sure you will learn a lot about application and everything like that coming from a recruitment manager himself. So let's go ahead and meet our guest for today. Welcome to IRL, or inREAlity. Watch and listen as we share unscripted stories of being a corporate creative. I've been working with MultiplyMii for over a year now, and it really is changing the BPO landscape in the Philippines. MultiplyMii is hiring talented Filipinos and providing long-term, stable employment opportunities, especially in the e-commerce, Amazon, and digital industries. We also provide a competitive compensation and benefits package, all while working from the comfort of your home. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of inREAlity. Today's guest is Mike. Say hello to Mike. Hi Mike, how are you doing?
Hello, hi Ray. I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Yes. Thank you so much for your time, by the way. I'm sure that a lot of our viewers are waiting for their questions to be answered in terms
Mhm.
of like recruitment and application. But before we start, I'd like for you to please introduce yourself to our viewers, just a bit about your background, your experience, and how you came to this like point in your career now.
All right. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for asking. So well, my name's Mike Santos. I am currently the recruitment manager for MultiplyMii. I've been actually doing recruitment since 2004.
Oh, that's
So
a
it's
long time.
actually it's been a while, so roughly around 15 years. I actually didn't plan to do recruitment, to be honest with you. When I actually graduated, my course was actually computer applications. So
Mm.
it's a bit far with what I'm doing, but I think one of the reasons why my first company, which was actually an executive search firm, got me was that they wanted to look for IT recruiters. So
Mm.
they did the complete 360 instead of getting people with a psychology background and then teaching them to do IT recruitment. They actually wanted to get people with an IT background and then teach them how to actually interview. So that's
Mm.
actually how it came about. So for me, it was something different. Right after graduation, first job. So I was really excited. So I did that, and then yeah, I think it grew. It grew on me that I really wanted to pursue this type of work. I never did go to the IT, but I did recruit for IT people. So I think that was my
Mm.
initial stint, and then I did, the whole shebang from IT, non-IT, from local to global recruitment. Yeah, and then from being working in doing internal recruitment, and then doing also consultancy. So
Mm.
yeah, I've been around. You could say that.
Yeah, very interesting career though, and I think it takes so much experience to actually know people that you'd want to hire in the
Yeah.
company, right? And
Mhm.
now that
Yeah.
you're working as a recruitment manager in MultiplyMii, can you tell us more about your role? Like, what's your day-to-day like in the company?
All right. Yeah. Well, I guess with the role in Multiply Me, I actually have a team of 9 people. So there's one
Mm.
recruitment admin, and then I have 8 recruiters. It's a mixture of senior recruiters and
Mm.
recruiters. But what I did in terms of the setup, it's basically end-to-end recruitment. So
Okay.
a recruiter does, from sourcing all the way up to the job offer.
Mm.
I want them to actually to be more, you could say, well-rounded. So at least, in terms of their career, in terms of their knowledge, they could do anything.
Yeah.
So that's actually what I did with that. I do a bit of coaching and mentoring,
Mm-hmm.
making sure that, they are on top of their game, making
Yeah.
sure that, they are hitting their service level agreements, making sure hitting their targets. And what's important is also, handling escalations. So let's
Mm.
say, for example, there are any issues between the client and the candidate, any follow-ups, as much as possible, we try to make things, really smoothly, in terms
Mm.
of client experience and at the same time candidate experience. So I think that's one key thing that, I think with recruitment, normally with recruitment, it's more of, let's say, client or hiring manager experience. But now we also focus with the candidate experience, making sure that,
Mm.
people are actually, or they had a good experience with the recruitment team. So it's, you could say it's the the first thing that they actually encounter when they
Yes.
go to or to apply to a client. So that's first impressions last. So that's what they say. So.
Right, right. And that's really nice to hear because it's not just
Mhm.
like helping the client understand their candidates, but also like helping the candidates understand the clients
Correct.
they'd be working with. So it's really end to end.
Exactly.
And I like that as well.
Mhm.
And I know you deal with so many applicants on a day to day basis, not just you, but of course the entire team. And for sure you
Mhm.
encounter a lot of outstanding ones. But there are also, some application mistakes that most of our applicants are committing, and we want them to avoid those
Mhm.
mistakes to give them the best experience in terms of
Yeah.
application. So what have you observed are the top three application mistakes from applicants, and then later on we're going to talk about how they can possibly overcome those
Mhm.
mistakes.
Well, I guess the first one would be, I think, in terms of the resume or the CV
Mm.
that they submit. Normally, even though, let's say, way before when I actually did the screening itself, there are, let's say, some candidates that actually, it's either their CV is too long or is it too
Mm.
short. Where
Yeah.
if it's too long, normally recruiters wouldn't want to browse through the whole, let's say,
Mm.
9, 10 pages of your resume. So
Yeah.
it's going to be too time consuming. So at least be really concise, but not too short in a way that there's no actual meat
Mm.
in the resume that we
Yeah.
couldn't understand. All right, so is this person a good fit? So a good balance in a way that a very detailed, short and concise description of, let's say, your work experience. Um, let's say you don't need to put, let's say, your high school,
Mm.
awards. It's more of, let's say, I think what's important would be, let's say, your work experience. I mean, I
Mm.
think
Okay.
now, most especially, let's say, for experienced candidates, you don't need to, let's say, we're not really into, let's say, the school that you graduated. We're actually more important would be the work that you've done, your, let's say, achievements. It's
Mm.
what you bring in the table. So I think that's one good thing. And then also in terms of the no-nos would be, not making any research about
Oh
the
yeah.
company. For a recruiter, normally we give tips to candidates,
Okay.
but when we do the initial interview, it's good that the candidate is prepared.
Yes.
In terms of, all right, so what am I applying for? Sometimes they don't even remember what role they applied
Yeah.
for.
Yes.
Or let's say if we normally ask, okay, so what do you know about us, or what do you know about the company? So if that person actually did some research, it actually shows interest
Yes.
that he is actually really he or she really does want to apply for the job. So I
Mm.
think that that's a good indication that this could be a good potential candidate. And then third would be, don't not candidates who doesn't ask questions at the end of the interview.
Mm.
Besides making research about the company or about the job, it's also, let's say, typically when you end the interview, the recruiter says, okay, do you have any questions for me?
Okay.
So it's good to actually ask questions. Similar to, let's say, doing some research, it gives the impression that you are interested. You actually want to get more information, maybe some things that are, let's say, not on the website of the company, or maybe
Yes.
there are some things that the recruiter wasn't able to explain. So it's a back and forth. So it's turning the tables around that you actually are the one asking questions. So
Yes.
those are the things that commonly would be, let's say, a good tip or tips for candidates who actually go through the interviews.
Right, right. Thank you for sharing. I think those are really
Mhm.
wonderful tips, especially now that uh, I think we're changing the landscape of the
Mhm.
application now that we're working from
Yeah.
home, and candidates have
Mhm.
this impressions that it's just the recruiter or the interviewer always talking, when in fact it's supposed to be a two-way communication,
Exactly.
right? You're supposed to
Mhm.
ask questions about what you're getting into as well.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, and then
Exactly.
going back to your first tip, you mentioned about like highlighting the work experience on the resume. I'm just curious, like, what
Mhm.
if the applicant does not have any work experience? What would you suggest to include on the resume? Like,
All
they
right.
just
So
graduated, something like
all
that.
right. Yeah. So that's actually entirely different in terms of, let's say, initially what I mentioned would be for experienced candidates,
Yes.
but let's say for fresh graduates, there could be school could be, you could put the school. Obviously, there are some companies who
Hmm.
have some preferences. But in terms of, let's say, what are your extracurricular activities? Do you
Okay, yeah.
actually have, let's say, joined organizations? Do you have, let's say, a certain position? or maybe sometimes in student council. So not just, let's say, your curriculum, or let's say your studies, but what you've been doing within the
Yeah.
university or the college. So I think those are key. You could input, let's say, your internship or your OGT.
Yeah.
Let's see what I think that's maybe that's the only thing that you could put in terms of your work experience. Because maybe for a couple of weeks you actually were part of a company. You could put, let's say, what were the tasks that was given to you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think with that, I think when companies are actually looking for fresh graduates, so at least for them, there's not too much information with the GD. So I think what's good is in terms of making a good impression when they actually meet with you for the interview.
Yes. Yeah, that's good. So it's
So
not.
you're all in all level playing field. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Which is why, as early as in the university or in school, you actually involve yourself into activities that will also help
Yeah.
you when you're already in the job, because that also
Exactly.
helps, to answer questions like what have you been doing in school aside from
Yeah.
just
Mm-hmm.
studying. So extracurricular
Yeah.
activities. And yeah, before we move on to the next question, I'm also just curious about
Mm-hmm.
this. Like, do you usually talk about compensation and benefits during the initial interview, or does it wait until like the final interview for you?
Um, Well, we actually discuss
Mm.
that. Well, here specifically here in MultiplyMii, what we do
Mm.
is, obviously we wouldn't want to waste the candidate's time.
Yes.
So on our end, what we do is, we usually ask, let's say, what are their current expectations in terms, let's say, okay, what's
Mm.
their basic pay. But besides that, we want to, have a good understanding. Also, let's say, the non-monetary benefits. So at least, we could have a good grasp. All right, so this person is getting this, and then, all right, then obviously we'll be asking what are they expecting pay. We want to make sure that there's a good balance. It's not too high, it's not too low. It's maybe something within the market
Yes,
range.
true.
But at the same time, besides monetary, obviously with the pandemic, with the
Mm.
modern times, we also ask, let's say, what are, let's say, maybe the reasons actually for them, to be joining a new company, or what would be the reasons for them leaving their current company. So, we want to see, all right, so besides monetary, are you looking at a work from home setup? Are you looking for, let's say, a flexibility in terms of working hours? So, not, I guess, for now candidates, it's not just about the money. Sometimes,
Yes.
it's the whole package. So those are the things that we try to get information from them. And then, let's say if ever they are the candidates that are picked for the role, we could spin it in a way that, all right, so I know these are you're expecting, so this is what we offer. So, it's
Mm.
a win-win for both sides, and it's easier to convince them to actually join.
Okay, yeah, that's perfect. I like what you said that we don't want to waste the candidate's time, of
Yeah,
course, because although
definitely.
it's not always just about the money, it's about the overall compensation benefits
Yeah,
package. They want to know exactly what they're getting as well, because we don't want to
exactly.
wait until the end to know that,
Yeah,
oh, this is actually not
exactly.
the right fit, so you just wasted the entire time to
Yeah,
interview.
yeah. Imagine it could be a week or 2 weeks in terms of processing, and at the end of the day, they're not within the budget. So, they could have gone through, let's say, different interviews, or for the recruiter, they could actually process different candidates. So,
Yes.
it's basically, good for both sides.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much. And I think that's a very helpful point to all our viewers out there. Now, I also get this question a lot. A lot of our viewers would say, what should I do if the recruiter does not get back to me? So what does it really mean when
Oh, all right.
recruiters,
All
don't get
right.
back to candidates? So what should they do?
All right. I mean, I think these or that actually is a common connotation or common thing that actually pops in a candidate's mind. Actually, even for me,
Yeah.
I think during the pandemic, obviously a lot of people, were redundated or were retrenched. So people were actually actively looking for new jobs.
Yes.
But in terms of the demand, not too much because obviously people were or the companies were actually cutting costs.
Yes.
But before that, I mean, all in all, in terms of that, it's not a common practice. Well, for me, what I do with my team here in MultiplyMii, we tend not to do that because it's actually, you could say it's a bad practice.
Hmm.
What I tell my team is making sure that, when we do initial interviews, even in my experience before, is I tell the candidate, good news or bad news, I will let you know.
Okay.
Because obviously, as I mentioned earlier, candidate experience is really important.
True.
Not just like experience with candidate experience, word by mouth spreads, online, social media. If let's say a group of people actually had a bad experience with the recruitment team,
Yes.
they could just rant in Facebook or
True.
other social medias and tell them, all right, this is bad experience, or in Glassdoor. So it could give a bad publicity or bad connotation to a company. So for us, it's really important to give, let's say, update, good news or bad news.
Yes.
But if, let's say, there are instances that, let's say, a recruiter does not, let's say, reply to you, I mean, I experienced that during the pandemic. um it's, I guess, for candidates, it's something out of their control, but at least on their end, since obviously they've communicated through either text or through email, a friendly follow up would suffice. Just ask them, all
Okay.
right, so it's been 3 days or a week during my interview. Do you have any updates or not?
Okay. Yes.
If they haven't replied, just just maybe assume that it's not really, or maybe you didn't pass. But for me, if it's my recruiter, I wouldn't be happy with that action. I would want the recruiter to actually tell them, all right, so if you passed or if you didn't pass, you can do that. I mean, with technology nowadays, I think with the ATS, just a simple click of the button, candidates would be informed. So I think
Yes.
just an update, I think, would suffice, and at least it gives, it could alleviate, all right, the thought of the kind, all right, if I passed or not, at least I know. I think
Mm.
I think that's what's really important, is at least they know if ever they passed or not.
Yes.
So practice for my team is just letting them know, if ever they passed or not. So it's critical for us. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a wonderful tip. I believe because maybe a lot of people are hesitant to send a follow up email or a
Yeah.
text. Maybe they're shy, or they might feel that the recruiter will think they're so pushy or something like that. And I personally believe there's nothing wrong with sending a follow up email.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if
Yeah.
it's already
Email
a
or
few
text, it's
days, right?
fine.
So it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at least you could just at least have a good wording terms. All right, so we did the interview. I wanted to find out if there's an update. So if not, just let me know.
Yes,
So I
exactly.
think,
And that's also what I like here at MultiplyMe. At least your applicants, our applicants are getting updates
yeah,
if ever
exactly.
they don't pass a certain phase of the application. And what I know is that with MultiplyMe as well, if, for example, they're not really a good fit yet for a particular role, we also put them in a pool of candidates, right?
Yeah.
Wherein
Yeah. Yeah.
we can look at those who are fit for the next role that we offer. Is that right?
Yes. Yes, that is correct. So that's why we wanted to give an update, because who knows? Let's say in a week or in a month or so, let's say that candidate that didn't pass, let's say, that existing role,
Hmm.
a new role comes in and they might be the perfect fit for that one. So if you didn't get back to that person, or if you didn't create a rapport, when you get in touch with him or her again, he or she wouldn't mind speaking with you. So
Hmm.
most likely they'll just reject your call. So at least if ever you did have a good rapport, created a good
Yes.
relationship, they'll let you know. At the same time, having that good experience, referrals could come in.
Yes.
So once they have a good experience, they could, all right. So I'm not interested. Maybe I know somebody who will or who is. So
Yeah.
it's a win-win.
Yes, exactly. And I always tell my viewers that in any case they don't get the job, to not take it personally, because maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's not yet the role fit for them, and there can
Yeah,
be another one that's best fit for them. Maybe
exactly.
in the same company. So it's really important to, like you said, maintain that professional level of relationship between you as an
Mm-hmm.
applicant and the recruiter, because you never
Yeah.
know, that recruiter may be able
Yes.
to give you a job in the future as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah. Recruitment is a really small world,
Yes.
so yeah, people know each other. So yeah, right.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Mike, for sharing that. And I know this has been
Sure.
a really insightful conversation. So let's have a quick icebreaker for the meantime.
All right.
I'm going to ask
All
you
right.
fast talk and would you rather questions. So all you have to do is choose an option,
Oh,
and then you
okay.
don't have to explain anything. Okay?
All right.
There
I'll
you go.
try.
So you're ready?
All right.
All
Go.
right. Let's start with, would you rather live without the internet or live without AC, fan, or heating?
Ooh, without AC, fan, or heating.
Okay, internet is live. And
Yeah, yeah. Could say
okay,
that.
next, email or video call?
Video call.
Coffee or soda?
Soda.
Office or work from home?
Ooh, work from home definitely.
Cash or GC?
Cash.
Day shift or night shift?
Day shift.
Holiday off or double pay?
Double pay.
Why not? Late
or
or
for
absent?
work from home.
Yeah,
Late.
late. Okay, last question. Would you rather have a terrible boss but a great job, or a great boss but a terrible job?
Great boss.
Great boss. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for participating. And we want
Yeah,
to
my
wrap up,
pleasure.
yes, we want to wrap up this conversation with your advice to job applicants out there who are, currently experiencing rejection, especially now with the current landscape that we have in the pandemic. It's really challenging to find a job, right?
Mhm. All right. My advice is, just simple. I mean, just never give up. I mean, for me personally, because I mean, it's something that I've experienced during this pandemic. I
Mm.
actually were, I were actually employed for almost half a year. I
Oh,
was really, don't give up in terms of, be active. I mean, just, on a daily basis, just apply as much as you can in terms of obviously apply for roles that you are interested at. I mean, that's really important.
yes.
Just don't apply in any openings, making sure that you are interested in that one, you are a good fit for that role. As I mentioned, make some research. So I think that's key. And I think it's the time most with the pandemic is that what's important is you have your own network. Ask
Okay.
people around. So not just relying on job boards or LinkedIn or other
Yes.
social media, but you could actually ask the people you know for help.
Mm.
Don't be afraid to ask help. Put your ego aside on that one, and then if people actually that have, let's say, an opening, or let's say their company has an openings, you wouldn't know if you didn't ask.
Yes,
So
true.
just don't give up and ask people, inquire, and then yeah, I think eventually it will come. Like with me, so I am now with MultiplyMii. It works, work from home, type of setup. I have a good team. I have a good boss. So I guess it was meant to be. In terms
Yes,
of it gave me time, 6 months to maybe rest a bit.
true, for sure.
Focus on, let's say, your personal life. But after 6 months, I got a job, and then yeah, here I am now.
Yes, that's a wonderful way to wrap up our conversation. And I just want to say that I like what you said about don't just apply to any role that you can see,
Mm.
because maybe now with the pandemic, people are just grabbing, one role to
Yeah.
another, even though they're not interested. And in the long
Mm-hmm.
run, it will not serve you because you also don't like it. So you also won't last
Yeah.
long. So might as well take your time to really look for the job or the role that you
Mm-hmm.
like, you're interested in, that you think you will last longer. And of course, here at MultiplyMe, we always have open roles and job
Yeah.
opportunities, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
will link below the link to our job board, and then our Facebook careers page. You can always see our job postings. We post it every single day, and definitely reach out to us at MultiplyMe if you are looking for really long-term career opportunities. So there you go. Thank you so much, Mike, for your time today and
All
sharing your
right. Thank
tips
you
and
too. Thanks,
insights.
Rhea.
Yes, we'll see you again in our next episode. And bye. Take care.